My name is Norma Osuna, and I'm the proud principal of Islet Elementary. I've been here, this is my 7th year. We're starting our 7th year here. And my background, actually, I did graduate from Isleta High School. And so I was myself an English language learner as a child. And so going into school, we didn't have bilingual education, so I was immersed in English. I have parents who taught me, you respect adults, you respect education, and education is key. So you have to get an education. Education is important. I did not start out as an education major myself. I have a business degree in business management and swore that I would never be a teacher. So of course I became a teacher. I went into teaching for all the wrong reasons. You know, I'll have the summers off. I had 2 children already at that time. I said, I'll have the summers off, you know, I get out early, they get to be with me and all of those things. But absolutely fell in love with teaching elementary students and was actually pretty good at it. Which was, you know, makes you feel good because you feel successful at what you're doing. And so I think the key was always that in my classroom, we were competitive. I always told my kids we're the best class in the whole school, you know, the whole bit, and they did really well. Just high expectations for our students. And so then the next thing I said, I would never become an administrator, so of course I went to school. The administrator that I worked with started picking me out of the classroom. I never had thoughts of leaving the classroom because I was having a great time. I was enjoying what I was doing in class. But they started picking me out for leadership positions and training of teachers, and then I really enjoyed that. I liked the aspect of working with the adults and teaching teachers and doing a good job of turning training around to teachers, because I didn't like when someone received training and just exactly the way they got it, they gave it to us and we had questions and no one could answer our questions. So I would always try and ask all the questions the teachers were going to ask. So I was a reading specialist. I did one-to-one interventions with first graders, and then I did go into the instructional coach as a literacy coach for the campus. And straight from there I went to being an assistant principal, and as soon as my 3 years were up, I was given the opportunity here at Islet Elementary. And so one of the things I'm very proud of our campus is our culture. Our campus culture. We have a very positive culture. When I came to Islet Elementary, the teachers were more like, they liked each other. They were friends. They really love each other. They get together outside of school. But we had to get, so that was very important because the people genuinely like each other. They're like family. The only thing we had to get beyond was the culture of nice, is just looking at what because the teachers were always saying, we work so hard here, we work so hard, but our results never show that. So we had to look at certain parts of it, which was data-driven instruction. And so once we started looking at numbers and always coming back to numbers, we saw that, you know, it's not personal, it's about what it is and how do what steps do we take to get better. And so I guess my philosophy with the teachers has just been of building that vision. You know, it's like, you know, they want to be the best. Teachers want to be the best, just like students. And so, what does it take to be the best? And it just takes working harder than a lot of other people are willing to work to get to that point. Okay, so. So we have a beautiful culture of teachers. As we started with this pilot, what we call our pilot, which is our personalized learning, that culture was key. So that's why I'm so proud of the culture of our teachers, because that willingness to share and not compete with each other, but compete, you know, with our kids. So building that culture in our students, and we've tried to pass that along to our students. Last year we came up with this motto as a campus, because Islet Elementary School just happens to be an acronym for YES, and what a more positive word than yes. At Islet Elementary we say yes, you are important, everything counts, and scholars we are. So we try to build this confident little people that feel successful and want to come to school, okay? Because the personalized learning that we do is based on two key concepts. Why kids buy school. Kids buy school because they want to feel successful and they want to have fun with their friends. And my idea was, I had a great experience going to school when I was a child. I want my kids to have a reason to come to school. I don't want to just do drill and kill, just academics is the only thing that's important. Kids have so many other interests, and I want everything to be, well-rounded students who enjoy every aspect of what they do in school. So, with that, I have 4 children of my own. My oldest son is a graduate of MIT. My second daughter is a graduate here from UTEP. She has a business management degree like mom. I have twin boy and girl. My son just graduated from Berkeley in mechanical engineering. And his twin sister is going to online grooming school. So I have everything. And my kids grew up in standardized testing days. And I know the way I felt as a mother, but I was part of the system. And so my idea was that's not what we want for kids. If we are teaching kids the standards and what kids need to know, you can change that standardized test. It could be star, it could be the moon, it could be the sun. But the kids will be able to not only meet the standard, but surpass it. And so my idea is everything, when you say everything counts, when I came here, the teachers were, we're getting close to testing. Can we just teach the tested material? No, ma'am, you may not. Because it used to be done. And I said, no, our kids need to know social studies. Our kids need to continue to do science. You're going to bore them to death. Please do not do that. And so we did not allow that to happen. And so that has been, again, one of our philosophies here, is everything continues to count. Every material counts, every content counts. And we're not just looking short term at what we're held accountable for elementary school. You've got to be looking at, why are we killing our middle school social studies course? Because we're not teaching social studies. Why does middle school writing suffer? Because once we're not testing it, we stop teaching it. And so we don't do that here, okay? And so the pilot program that we started is when our district had the initiative of the Engage Me 1-to-1 devices for students. And they brought it to our 3rd and 4th grade students. Well, as a parent, I would think, well, my 5th graders are, why is my 5th grader getting left out? So out of my campus funds, I purchased 1-to-1 for our 5th graders as well, so they wouldn't be left out of the loop. And so that's when I got included in what we call being one of the blended learning pilot schools. And so I guess because I was already thinking, how do we provide this for our students? So another campus and myself were included in this pilot program. And what it's about, it's and it's called Blended Disruptive Innovation. Okay, so I've always loved being different. I love doing things differently. I thrive on that. I want to see how can we do things differently. It doesn't matter how it's been done before. Let's do something different. And so when this came along, I really embraced it because what it is less, and I knew it. When we had the old testing, the standardized testing system before, I would see that what we were doing was trying to average out. So our high kids were coming down and our low kids maybe were coming up. So we were creating this culture of average. And really, in all reality, average doesn't exist. When we're teaching whole group, a lot of whole group, you're teaching to an average that, by a lot of research does not exist. So what we started to do here was, let's get the quick mini lesson out to the students. And we do this in guided reading and math. A lot of our teachers have incorporated in science. You do it all day. And you get the mini lesson out quickly, and then you let the kids go. And so then they go into the groups based on what you need. Always a teacher-guided small group. Probably the students that need the most guidance are with the teacher. And that can change daily, and it should change daily because students have different strengths and areas of need. So what we do is the teachers take that group. Some students, they build a culture also within the classroom where the kids understand that it's not only the teachers there to help them, they can learn from each other. Okay, so what we do is we empower the teachers to understand the data and the reports that are available. What is that data telling them about how to group and how to better work with their students? Once they do that, they hand the ownership over to the students. What a concept for a child to understand why they're doing what they're doing. We haven't been doing that. All we've been saying is, you need to go over there, you need to go over here, you all come with me, and the kids don't know why. So what we started to do was hand that data over to students. Look, this is your reading screener. These are your strengths, always starting with the strengths. These are where you're doing really well, so you don't need to work on that as much. These are the things you need to work on. So when the teacher, after she breaks out from that whole group instruction, which should be 15 to 20 minutes, the students are making the choices based on their individual needs where they need to be. It could be working on a project with their peers. It could be working on the adaptive software, which takes them from where they're at. Or it could be independent and continued practice with their peers. Again, also maybe with a teacher. If there's a special ed inclusion teacher in there, they might be working with it. They might even go out and work into the community areas in the outside of the classrooms, because we have great setup here. I've got to take you around to see them. And so the kids can also work out there. They know they can go to the, to what we call the powwow. We did away with our computer lab. We set up a powwow where the kids can go and work on their Chromebooks, work on their projects. And so the idea was for students to take true agency over their learning. And oh my God, this year I think that's what really sold me on doing what we're doing, because the students are confident, the students can communicate what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're making progress. And let me tell you that the state this year, we were one of only 3 elementary schools in our district who received all 6 distinctions from the state. And it wasn't because I was looking to see how can I play the numbers, what do I need to do to get those distinctions, because I didn't know how those were going to fall. I don't like to make decisions based on how the state accountability is going to come out. I make decisions based on what's right for kids, what would I want for my kids. I now have 4 grandchildren, so what do I want for my grandchildren? And so it just so happens that the state now looks at the 90-60. Are y'all familiar with 90-60-30 model? 90% of students should be reaching an approaching level, which is what we call meeting standard, which is very low. Okay, I've never called that passing star. That's definitely, when you're in the 40s and 50s and 60s, that's not passing anything. So, but that 90% of our kids should be at that approaching level. The next level is in the mid 70s, and that 60% of our kids should be achieving at that level. That's college and career readiness. And then 30% of our population should be achieving at the mastery level, when you're in the high 80s or 90s. Well, the way the state figured this year, the distinctions was based on the students at the mastery level. So what that said to my campus is, we are personalized learning, because if we were just doing the minimum, if we were just addressing a certain population, our approaching level would be really high. But our meeting and mastery levels would be low, because we're not hitting the students who are already mastering content, who are above mastery of content. And so they looked at 3rd, 4th, and 5th reading, what percentage of our students are at the mastery level, and greater than expected students growth. Imagine that, greater than expected students growth. So our students were recognized for making greater than expected students growth. And so in every area, reading, math, and science, our students were at the top percent. And the accountability, they're comparing us apples to apples. So they're comparing us to other schools who are economically disadvantaged. We're at almost 92% here, economically disadvantaged. About 99% Hispanic. What else? Oh, and about a little over half limited English proficient. And so when they compared us to those schools, we're not only in the top quartile, we are the top of the top quartile. So that was, I mean, I couldn't wait to share that with our teachers, because again, we go back to the idea, we work so hard, why are we not seeing the results? So it was a great success when we looked at all students who were at the meets level, which is being at grade level. 44% of our students on all tests given were at the meets level. And then finally in the closing gaps, we were in the top quartile. The only area we missed being on quartile 1 was attendance by 0.2%. We're at 97%. So it was close, but not there. So that to me just confirms that what we're doing is what's right for kids, because we are addressing the needs of every child, whether they're high, medium, or low.